can use resourceful as well. If you take Helma's suggestion, that means that you are thinking about the wealth you used. And my idea is that you don't get to talk to the actual person who directs the information, but you certainly can get access to whoever manages that information. Secretaries are always the best targets, not the boss.
Yes.
Right? So
yeah.
So in that case,
I'm looking for a minor coordinator myself in the same.
Exactly. Yeah, somebody at the same level.
Yeah.
You all have the same problems, right? After all.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take these 4 cards. These are yours.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to assign myself some cards. I get 1 for free. And then I also spend out of my budget. So the 3 points have just moved to the audience pool. And so now that means that I now have 4 cards as well. So it's 4 cards on 4 cards. If anybody had fan mail, Ola could spend fan mail on himself, if he had some, for more cards. Or anyone else who's not in the conflict can use fan mail to give either the producer or the protagonist more cards, not both. So you can throw in on my side if you wanted to. That's completely allowed. So let's take a look.
You can you give fan mail when the cards come out.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Now the way you get fan mail to spend later is when somebody in the group gives it to you and says, "Hey, that was great. Here, have some." So
after this scene, we will have some resources in this
the audience pool now has 3 in there. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, Ola. So let's take a look at how this works. You have 2 red cards, and I pulled 5 cards by accident. I have to pull again. Sorry. 1, 4. Okay. I have 2 red cards, and for ties, we take a look at the hearts and the diamonds, or something like that. I can't remember which. Of course, we have to have an irritating result on our very first try.
Better to take it now than later.
Yeah, instead of a nice, easy, who has more kind of thing. And so, here we are. If the points are tied, players win the stakes if they have more hearts than the producer. And that's interesting. Okay. If there's still a tie, which there is, because I have 1 heart and 1 diamond, and so do you, whoever has the lowest heart, which is you. I have the higher heart value with an 8 of hearts, and you have a 3 of hearts. So the conflict has gone to you. By the way, which of us has the higher card? It is me with kings. So that means I get to say how it goes. So whoever cards have the highest value, that's who describes how it goes. So it may not be me, the producer, who narrates the outcome. It is in this case. So the next next issue is the outcome, and so my outcome is that you and Miriam, the board data email person for this office. Finally, you have managed. This has taken you all day, perhaps, and so finally you are having this. You're paying for this. They call it a gimlet, but you are not quite sure whether this really tastes like a real gimlet should. But it's what it passes for a gimlet in this particular spot in Moonville, which is a platform with a dome over it, so you can walk around in this round room that is up on a tall stem. So then it overlooks these mountains and things on the moon, and so it's pretty cool. And being able to take Miriam out to this place was enough for her to be able to go here.
So that was the
Gimlet.
price that I paid.
Right, exactly. So there you are, coughing
Gimlet.
up the money for this gimlet, and
Yeah.
this is not a date or anything, but Miriam doesn't get to go here, and so this is great
Oh,
to have a. And so the two of you can talk about your jobs and everything like that,
Yeah.
and which are of course fascinating. Fascinating, Sandra. Nothing happens in this conversation. Are you happy? Right?
Yeah.
as the two
Yeah.
unnecessary managers talk about their jobs. So then, exactly. But you definitely find out that you are going to, this is going to be to a, there is a cluster of asteroids in the asteroid belt, which is notable for a lot of illegal exchange of minerals and fluids that are mined from the different places around the solar system. And in many ways, this is where the value of currency is really, I mean, you can look at the official currency. Every corporation, every nation will have its official currency exchange, carefully figured out. And there must be some equivalent of the World Bank or some bullshit like that, right? And so there's all this official currency that goes on, but that's not really the real currency. That's determined at exchange points like this one. So of real goods and unofficial transactions. So there's an excuse to go there, but really, there's no real. She'll tell you. Miriam says they'll say they're going there just because it's the only place where they can legally meet with this other corporation ship. But the fact is, nobody goes there except for these kinds of deals. So, you need to look
all right.
out. You need to look out. There's some kind of this is not usual for your ship. It has never been here before. It's not part of the usual trip.
No, I get really disturbed by this information because I kind of put value on being a part of a lawful organization and all that. So so I get like almost, I don't know what to say, and then I ask her something that she probably cannot say, but how do I prepare for this?
Actually, she will say, well, look out for the bombs.
Bombs?
Yeah, there's lots of reasons. Lots of people aren't going to want the ship to make this journey successfully. Accidents happen out there.
But what do you mean bombs? Like explode? Is it a paraphrasing something else, or is it actually things exploding?
She says that's probably overstating it. It's probably just ordinary sabotage to keep the ship, delayed to miss its meeting or something like that. I wouldn't worry about it too much, but if you end up taking a stop by Mars for a few orbits for no reason, you'll know why. They're cleaning out some kind of chemical or some incendiaries or some kind of virus or something out of the ship's system.
Okay. There's a special shelf in my brain for I wouldn't worry about that too much. And that's enormous. You can fill that with anything.
Right.
Yeah, I will totally. I'm extremely grateful. I buy her another gimlet and probably don't spend that much time seeking information. More like totally going back to my bunk and worrying.
Gotcha.
And
okay, so then who else would Helma Helma and Max, you are welcome to talk about where your character is and what they are doing.
Okay. Do you want to go first, Max?
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
So you want to start or should I?
I can start.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam would somehow have found out where the food market is,
Of
basically.
course. Mm-hmm.
And somebody would have told her about a place where they have really special stuff.
I bet that what it is. I have some ideas, but go on. Yeah.
I mean, basically, there's room for misunderstanding, but I don't know whether that would be too much for this pilot. I mean, basically, there would be room for her thinking of spices as something to put into the food,
I think
and
actually,
somebody else might think
right.
of something
I got
completely different.
Actually, we don't even need a misunderstanding because they are the same kind of establishment. We are talking about a unofficial hydroponic garden in the residential areas.
Perfect.
And so, yes, and so you can go and get your Chinese cabbages and your gourmet kumquats and your all that sort of thing, but that's not the only thing they grow in those gardens.
So I get something else that I've never seen before.
Perhaps I have
maybe.
You are sure. You are at this. You are shown up here, and we quickly realize by viewing this that you are not exactly in the most official circumstances, but so it's a residential area, and they are people from a part of the world that your character knows nothing about. It happens to be called the Tuvan Republic. And so these people are all from the Tuvan Republic. They're all speaking Tuvan, and there are weird shamanistic symbols on poles that have been set up outside of the very generic cheap pods that people live in Moonville. These cheap pods, but outside there are these poles, and there are these feathered shamanic totems that have been set up outside of them in the vacuum of the moon, right? In the almost non-existent atmosphere of the moon, and sitting there, in the name of the spirits and the ancestors, which is kind of creepy, actually. And so,
is it a dream catcher also?
No, these are they are made mostly from feathers. They have a hawk imagery to them, and they have a lot of beads that hang down in curtains. Right. So when you go into one of these pods, which is where a family is supposed to be living, no, it is not a family. It has been set up very nicely with reflective materials and lights in the right places and all of this equipment for growing plants in water, and with a little piping system that has been jacked in from the communal water supply the way it is not supposed to be. And that's when you realize that one of the people who you have interacted with, instead of the nice little old lady that you have been talking to, the conversation is now being managed by the young son, who looks like a much more serious person. And so, right. So there you are having this conversation, and you said that you end up with some interesting materials that you have not had before, because I think he insists on adding them as a gift to your purchase. Take these, you need these, right? His language is, the grandmother speaks no language except for Tuvan, probably a little Russian, a little bit of Han Chinese, not much else. But this guy has a more general, he can talk with anybody in Moonville as long as it involves buying and selling something.